This
April 10th,
conference will now be recorded.
2023 meeting to order. All council members are present. We'll all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, I'm just gonna move it.
That's
Broke
right.
it
I'll have it
already.
all cleaned up before the next meeting.
What's up?
So, Mr. Mayor, we can strike 2 and 3 from the consent agenda. And then if you want to add number 3 under requests and presentations, Larry Muff is here to talk about the watershed information. And then if we can add number 4 to new business, and that'll be community cleanup charges. That's what I have for additions.
Move to approve the consent agenda items with changes.
That's the regular agenda, right?
Yeah, for the regular.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Approve the regular agenda.
I have a motion
I'll second.
by Jason and a second by Jody to approve the agenda. Consent agenda items.
Motion to approve the consent agenda
With the,
I'll second that.
with the change, with the deletions.
have a motion by Jason and a second by Jody, vice versa, sorry, to approve the consent agenda items with the changes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Move down to Gail Schmidt.
I have to stand in here?
Yes, you do.
Preach to us.
Where's the hot seat?
You're the first one to break it in.
Can you stand up a little more?
Jason, you'll go home, build a box. Okay, I'm here on behalf of Royal Villa. First of all, we have a standing water issue in the north end of our parking lot, and we have no place for it to go. I've had contractors out there trying to find a line that we could connect to. I've talked to Tony a little bit about it, I believe.
Yep.
Couple of options we have is we can try to find a line that connects to Legion Field. There was a line behind Cedarburg's old house, Johansson, and Knox, that all connected to the tile, yeah. So that's an option. It's gonna be quite a distance if we find that, and I would imagine there's a process we have to go through to get hooked onto that. The other option is, well, actually, there's two, as far as the city is concerned. The other option is to connect out into the street to a catch basin, which we don't know if works.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, and I saw somebody out there last week, so they must be checking on it.
Yeah, Eric and I and you saw us out there with the pavement guys that day. We were checking on the entrances to the hub there, but Bolton and Mink is checking into the catch basin there that's built. The problem is that catch basin is not on any of the city maps. They don't even think it's supposed to be there. So we don't know what's gonna happen. So it's on the list of the guys to get to. They're gonna actually pull that grate, dig down in there and see if it goes anywhere, or if it's just going.
Yeah.
And then we do have a camera to check out if something happens, so.
We do have one other alternative, which is gonna be thousands of dollars for Royal Villa. So we're hoping that the other two alternatives we talked about will work. If the catch basin is a dead catch basin, then we're out of luck going that direction, but then we wanna try to see where we can connect, if we can connect to that tile. And I don't know, there should be maps that have that tile.
Yeah.
That would
They
probably
wouldn't
be
be on,
at the county.
yeah, they're probably not on these maps, but I'll have to dig, but I should be able to find them.
Okay, well, we'd like to address that as soon as we can. The Blacktop Company was, like I said, out, and they have an alternative. I don't want to present that to our board if I don't have to. So that's that. The other one is, I've asked Tony to have the guys go down and look at First Street Northeast. It is in awful shape, particularly on the edges, or the tar is all cracked and broken and laying there in pieces, and going into the driveway, the parking lot is in tough shape. You did put there was some cold patch, I think.
Yeah, they put cold mixed in. Oh, yeah, I mean,
It didn't do much.
we had Sikora come over and we went through all the small patching jobs that we did. We did not get anything back from them as of yet.
He takes a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, I
But-
know that street probably wasn't on the budget, but I'm asking you to see if there's something we can do. It's in tough shape. This one I don't know if you're gonna be able to help me with or not. We have a row of trees out front. I don't know what they are, but they have all those little hard helicopters. I don't know what they are. The trees are full of them now, but they're getting on the roof and in our drains, our roof drains. They're everywhere on the property. People are dragging them in on the carpet all the time, and I'm wondering if we can take a look at those, either get them trimmed way back. I don't think they're in the boulevard.
Okay.
I don't think, but I
Are
would
they
like
maple
them to-
trees, the helicopter
they got
ones?
They're not I shouldn't refer to them as the helicopters, because those are kind of flexible. These things are hard, and the trees are loaded with them. And, I mean, the wind just carries them, and they're all over the property.
I would reach out to Matt.
And I think he was gone.
Yeah, he's been gone. But I would reach out to Matt because he's on the tree board. He'd at least be able to tell you that they are on the boulevard trees or they're not boulevard trees, or he would be able to give you a good idea of what you should or shouldn't do,
Okay.
or what he may be able to.
I'm hoping I
Back.
can talk to him, because I think next week is our board meeting, so I'd like to be able to take some of that.
Yeah.
So there's that. The other thing is the 50th anniversary of Royal Villa is this year. We're planning some sort of an event. We had big ideas. We're trying to scale that back a little bit in September. And we're also going to be putting a float in the Farm and City Days Parade announcing our 50th anniversary. We just want to get it out to the public that we're there and healthy and available. So we're doing that, probably send an invitation to the city council for sure. I think it's September 10th, actually, with the 17th as a rain date. We're just trying to nail down how big we're going to go. Lastly, kind of a tough subject, but I'm just going to make it very brief and then I'll be done. But when city employees or city office is explaining a budget to a taxpayer, I would appreciate it if they didn't refer to me as the previous mayor, and now we have to live with it. Because as you know, Tony prepared the budget. I complimented him on it. It was a good budget, but I'm not the one who votes. So I don't appreciate that statement because you're pointing the finger at me. And if you want to know any more information on that, you can ask me later. But if we could get this water solution figured out and possibly the street.
Do you think that parking lot is sunk, or it was always done that low?
Well,
Because that water's always been in that north corner.
it always has
There
been, and
forever.
we've had a couple people fall this year, so that
Mhm.
it's gotta be fixed. It does slow down, but once it gets down there, it has no place to go, so it just sits, and
Mhm.
it's pretty big. And we've got pictures of it,
It's always been there though, I remember.
yeah. And the contractor said that there was a 1-year warranty, and if it would have been brought to their attention, they would took care of it. It's been 6 years now.
Does anyone lose a parking space when there's a lot of water down there?
They don't.
Okay.
No, they don't. Actually, we're short parking spaces down there, so we're thinking we might need to expand, but they have to go through it or way around it to get to their vehicles.
Okay.
But that's what happens in the wintertime, it sits there and it freezes. And then anytime there's rain or thawing, of course. It's dry today, but when it rains, it'll sit there. So that's all I have. Can I
Okay.
comment on the chickens?
Sure.
Please don't do that.
Eggs have come down in price.
We have enough
Yeah.
enough ordinance violations we can't control. That's all I'm gonna say about that.
All
Thanks, Gail.
right, thank
Thanks
you.
for your time.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too.
All right, we'll move down to the Town and Country Garden Club, Barb.
Thank you for your time, for taking on the garden club tonight. I'm Barb. I'm co-president of the garden club. Our president is Stacy Betke. Give a wave there. She became a member last year and volunteered for this position of presidency with the stipulation of needing a little help, learning all the workings of our organization and everything. As a side note, her grandmother, Cordelia Betke, was one of the garden club's founding members. Her family goes way back. I'll start with just a brief summary of why the garden club is on your agenda this evening. On March 6th, at the club's first meeting of the year, our treasurer reported that we did not receive the funds from the city that we've normally gotten each year for flowers. He had approached Tony at the city hall at the end of October, beginning of November, regarding this, and was told we would not be getting these funds, and something about a landscape fund that was not further explained. I talked with Sarah Jo on the phone on March 16th for an explanation of why these funds were not paid to us. Part of the reason seemed to be that the city auditors now need a record of how these funds are spent with the garden club, and this makes perfect sense. And it's not a problem to provide this information to the city from the garden club, but this has never been requested in previous years and was not requested for last year. In a later phone conversation with the city, it was mentioned that the city council would have to decide how much the garden club would be receiving in city funds. So that's why I'm here tonight. It's always been understood by the garden club that these city funds were given to purchase flowers for Highway 30 City Garden and the City Hall Garden out here. Last year, these flowers cost $456. Our budget for flowers for this year includes another increase in our cost to purchase and is estimated at $510. This year, we will be paying over $1 per pot more than we paid just 2 years ago. We are submitting the paid invoice for last year's flowers of $410, and this is just for the flowers on the Highway 30 City Garden. The City Hall Garden was another $46, which we do not order ahead of time. We want to see if we can use flowers that may not get sold at our plant sale, and then supplement that with additional flowers. This invoice should fulfill the requirement for the auditors for their records. This invoice itemizes the flowers purchased by the club for 2022 and for which we have not received reimbursement. We've always received sufficient funds from the city for the flowers we need to plant to make these gardens look as beautiful as possible each season for our community. The funds we raise through our plant sale and donations cover all of the other gardening expenses, such as mulch, compost, new hoses, replacement of flowers or plants, and many other miscellaneous supplies and equipment we need. It also goes toward maintenance issues, like now possibly having to replace our large wooden sign on Highway 30, in the Highway 30 garden. It was probably put up in the 1990s and is now showing several areas of rotting and wear from the weather. Just as a note, the garden club is always looking for ways to promote gardening in the community and also in younger people. We're currently talking to Dan Storm at the high school to have students work with us for the spring and possibly throughout the entire gardening season. Again, thank you for your attention and time for the garden club tonight. If you have any questions, ask them right now.
So if you submit that receipt for this year with last year's date, I don't think that'll work because that year is already closed.
It's closed out.
Can we give money with the stipulation that they have a receipt at the end of that time frame of picking up flowers this year?
Well, I think what the council needs to decide is how much, number one, do you want to continue to make that investment? Number two, what's the appropriate amount to make that investment and what you want to see taken care of? Sarah Jo and I did a little looking and the annual payment was $200. And then there was 1 year, it looked like where the previous year payment and the current payment got put on one check for $400. And that's kind of where that amount came from.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. And then the other issue too is, we get money for like the ambulance and things like that from the county as well. But the county does not get any of that money without a written request from the organization.
Correct.
So every year I have to write a written request to the county requesting that money, and that's how we come to that situation. So the other thing is, there's also some argument over who is doing the pots on Main Street as well.
I was just gonna ask about that.
Yeah, so that's why I'm saying I think the council needs to decide what is important to them and what they would like the garden club to help with and how much they're willing to put into that, so that they know what they should do.
So I'm sorry, what was the argument?
You were saying that the garden club was not gonna take care of the pots on Main Street.
No, I said we've never taken care of the pots. Volunteers from the garden club in 2008 told, I think it was Nita Stallo that was purchasing those in like 2010, I think she got them. And she approached us again to, whether or not we would take on doing them, and we declined to do that. And so there were some volunteers who ended up working with the city directly.
From your club or?
They were club members.
Okay.
But they were just volunteers on their own,
And that information was never shared with the city council or the city staff, that they were on their own, doing their own thing.
I did in the letter now.
Just recently, yes, correct.
There wasn't any question about it, We didn't know that that's what you were thinking
What was the amount of funds that was provided?
for the garden club.
Well, no, for the volunteers working on the pots at Christmas time.
That's
I
completely
think
separate.
it was around $350 or $400,
Every year for the last
couple of years.
so many years.
For
Three-
2 seasons, for summer for flowers and then winter.
So
So
you're looking
$350
at
for both?
$700 for the year.
Oh,
Plus
So it was
400
700
that we've been giving to
Plus the
garden.
400, so you're looking at $1,100 a year.
so who paid for this before this? When they did the pots on Main Street?
The city did.
The city has always paid for it.
I'm
It's just
kind of
the-
in charge of the pots uptown. I started that way back many years ago when those pots come out. And we've always gotten money for those spring flowers, but then the city went and put the pots away for the winter. And then when I talked to Tony, I said it'd be nice if we could do something for the winter. About 2 years ago, was it, Tony, or something? I don't know what it was.
Yeah, it would have been less than that because
Yeah.
I've just been here for a year.
Yeah.
But
So we started doing that for the winter, otherwise it was just the spring. Because the city went and dumped the dirt every year. So then they had to buy new dirt for it every year. So I just do the volunteering for the city pots. I am in the garden club, but I've been doing it for many years, just volunteering for the city pots. Planting, we water them, we take care of them all summer long and do the winter ones. So we are separate from the city garden. The city pots belong to the city.
So do you go and buy the decorations for the city pots first and then bring the receipt? Or has the city council in the past said, you
Ever
have
since last year, Eleanor has checked in ahead of time and said, this is what we'd like to do, this is what it's probably gonna cost. And then she goes and gets the stuff.
okay, and you give her the okay up to a
Yeah.
certain amount?
Mhm.
Okay,
And the bill is sent to the
The
city.
city.
I never see the bill.
okay.
And the garden club does not do it that way, or you
We've
guys
never
go?
had oversight over the pots. There's no money.
No, I mean your club for the highway one or the city garden. You usually go buy them and bring the receipt, or the receipt goes to you, or?
The receipt has never been asked for. We pay for it ourselves, and then we just.
As far,
there's
as
some-
far as I'm aware, the city has not made a contribution to the garden club since 2021.
I think it was an oversight last year. I mean, I'm in a habit where I don't pay something unless I get an invoice.
Correct.
So.
Which, I mean, that's the
How you run a
way.
business.
Pastor SB's.
Well, and it
came
hasn't
in
been
and
budgeted
reminded-
for years.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
and Pastor SB always came in and reminded Wayne, and then he would give me the go ahead to cut the check. So, last year, I think it brought up to me, or the council, so.
Well, and it wasn't budgeted for
It was an
because
oversight, yeah.
we went through that process of trimming everything down.
You're right.
I mean, with.
Is it budget for this year?
Well, kind of. And
There's a-
I
there's a fund that could be
line
taken
itemed $1,000 for landscaping throughout the city of New Richland, whether that was to help pay for garden club supplies or the pots on Main Street or mulch or whatever the council chooses to do. So,
The EDA's got some money too that kind of off the budget, so to speak. Could we use some of that?
I don't know. I don't know how that would. I don't think.
It's still city money. I'm
Yeah,
saying
but I think the problem we're gonna run into is I don't think that the gardening stuff qualifies as an economic development use of the money. You know what I'm saying?
About beautification.
beautification,
Yeah, I'd have to do some checking.
Right.
I could.
but I'm saying that money's there if, you know.
So what do you guys want to do?
Well, what if you
Give 'em some money.
allocated that $1,000,
think-
had that sitting in a pot, and they just bring us a receipt of what they paid for.
Right,
That's
but,
also for the
but
winter
that's
stuff
also
as
for,
well.
that's also
Yeah.
for city stuff. That's also for, we have to fix something or repair something, and things like that. So that's why I'm saying is that council needs to decide what they are willing to either help pay for the garden club, that'd be X amount of
Like
dollars.
$1, yeah.
So that in the future, that I can earmark that for that
Mhm.
purpose.
So you said you were working with Dan Sorum about potentially having the kids just help with the gardening stuff, or them helping
What the-
making growing flowers, or?
Just to help us out. Many
The-
of our members are getting older.
No, I understand. I just
And
was
so
curious.
we've been looking for additional ways that we could get more people to know. And
Yeah.
we thought that working with them, they would be able to help us like digging the holes for the pots. and,
Sure.
Cleaning out
across
the
the
big
street.
garden.
Yeah.
As far as that bill goes, I could,
It's right there.
the auditors are gonna be here Friday. So I could ask him if we could still pay that bill for
Sure.
2022. If there's funds available, I would have to look to see if those funds are available. But then going forward, I just need to know what you wanna do as far as.
It almost sounds like that they're pretty dang frugal with the money they do spend, so if we put out a figure of $750 every year, you still got some for the city if they need some. And I think they're saying that they hope to have enough volunteers to take care of everything as far as the work involved. So I would say just $750 a year, put it out there for them, and then they have to bring a receipt that would meet whatever stipulations the auditors tell you on Friday.
You're not gonna be able to do, I would tell the council that the most they're probably gonna be able to authorize this year is about $450 with what's already planned to be spent out of that landscaping fund.
And what's the reasoning behind that? Could we change it next year if we had?
Yes.
We had to
yeah.
finish the
Okay,
budget.
that's my point, that's what I'm asking that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we could just give them
Budget's
something that would
gonna
help
adjust.
this.
It isn't set in stone.
Yeah. and then jump it up.
No, you can budget $12,000 next year for them if you want to, that's.
We can adjust this year's budget to make our,
You can move stuff from one place to another.
Right.
place. Yeah, but there's not room for that.
I think in good faith that we should say, let's try to pay that.
Yeah.
And see if we can pay it other ways if the auditors don't let us pay it. And then say the 450 this year or next year budgeted. And then go from there. On further years down the road, if we need more, we need
So
more.
you're saying, just so I'm understanding this, the 450 would be for the garden club and the city pots? I mean, are you, or?
I think what Jason's saying, and correct me if I heard you incorrectly, is that we're going to attempt and speak with our auditors about the bill from last year and see if we can still pay for it from last year's funds. I don't know if that's a possibility or not. We're in the final stages of our audit, so I don't know if that can happen. And then he said that for this year, we are able to authorize up to $450 worth of purchases for the garden club going forward for the rest of the year. For this year. There's some interest from Mr. Casey to increase that next year. Unfortunately, the budget's already been prepared for this year, so we really don't have a lot of weekly pay. Was that correct?
Yep.
That's what he's pitching to the
Yeah,
council,
just so I understand.
so.
right.
So is that a motion?
I'll make a motion on that.
Second.
Have a motion from Jason and a second for Lauren to authorize $450 for the garden club. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, nay. Pass.
Mark, do you have any other fundraiser events besides your plant sale? That's just it?
No, it's just the plant sale.
Have you ever thought about doing any additional fundraising to?
We have done, some, putting out, donations for a certain project, for a certain thing that we
Okay.
need to have done.
How about selling Christmas wreaths or something like that?
Probably not. Usually if it gets into a very large project, like redoing a part of the garden, we've done this several times, we go to the Richland Area Foundation. And then we get, however much money, we have to have so much that we have, first, and then they will determine if they will give us, so much more.
But I mean, small stuff like bake sales and stuff will give you some spare change, if you
Well,
do a bake sale around Farm City Days or something like
we've, you're right, we try to be as frugal as possible.
that. Right.
And last year, for about 6 years, up through 2021, we were doing the lawn mowing around the garden and all the way up to Broadway. And then we were also spraying it. And when we had started that, it was because the city was not spraying at that time. And there was more dandelions and weeds than there was grass. There was very little grass in there. And plus the city had a side discharge. And you couldn't blow into the street, so they blew it into the garden. And so we took over the mowing and that. Last year I asked Chad I was looking at your name there. I asked Eric at the street department if he had a different mower now, and he said he had a rear discharge. And so we tried that last year and he took it over and it worked well.
Okay.
And then this year in March, I didn't know what was going to be happening here, so we were looking again at where we could cut. And so we turned the spraying over to the city. Eric said that would be no problem when they do the city park, they could do the other part. So we have already, reduced funds, so we're.
So does the Richland Area Foundation donate money for flowers, or you have to have a specific?
Usually I read in their brochure, just the basic idea is that they give it to special projects and not necessarily to operating expenses. So we've never applied really for, just general.
So what happens if, I'm just throwing this out there, what happens if you call the pots or the city garden a special project? Because it kind of sounds like it's I don't know how you want to say it, a special project to certain people.
Oh, yeah. So far, we haven't, needed to do that. We've managed pretty good. Our plant sale goes pretty well. This year will be a little bit different. Mary Sack was in the garden club. She brought in a trailer full of plants to sell. And we had another member who had a whole bunch of stuff that she'd gotten from a brother or a family member that they were cleaning out. And so we had a lot of plants last year and we did well. This year, probably won't have that, so we never know how much we'll make. But we usually do well and people donate also at the plant sale. They just give us extra.
Okay.
So right now, I'd say, we've got that cushion, where we're not, really bad or anything, so.
And when will the plant sale be this year?
May 20th. The weekend, the Saturday before Labor Day.
So May 20th is when the city volcano ends. So,
Oh, that's
maybe more people will be out. I don't know.
good. Good for us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Barb.
Thanks, Barb.
Move down to Larry, watershed.
All right. It's light reading.
Thank you.
Pages, so it's not gonna be light.
Thanks for giving me a chance to update you where we are on the one watershed. Earlier in the last fall, I was in front of you when I discussed the issues that I see in the study that the county commissioners funded for the flooding in New Richland. And the first part of it is just a review of those issues I have in it, which when I get down to the bottom of it, I don't think that study is a viable one anymore to do any good for New Richland. And basically because the bottom line was, they calculated on a 100-year flood, but their calculation of a 100-year flood is 6 inches in 24 hours. And they said, we don't have a problem in New Richland with 6 inches in 24 hours. We have a problem with 12 inches in 12 hours.
Yep.
Well, they said that's a 500-year flood. They never, in that study, I don't know how it got dropped or oversight, but that study was never set up to address that kind of rainfall. So that's the bottom line on why I think that study is not a viable study. Since then, on March 24th, we had the 60-day public review on the one watershed. And I got to thank Jason and the other Richland residents that showed up for it. They had a strong voice for Richland to address the flooding issues because I've been kind of been chastised in these meetings for being too vocal about the flooding. And they have other residents come up there and back me up, kind of gave me some credibility that this is a high issue, an important issue. So I appreciate Jason and others showing up. But we are in the public comment section of the watershed, the sewer one water, one plan. We're just very in it, tying that up. Now, there are no projects in that for flooding in Richland. Actually, there's no projects in it for any of the watershed for any issues. The steering committee has identified areas that they want to address. But when we get done with this, they have to go out to the landlords or owners of those areas and discuss that. So there's no plans for any projects so far, just ideas. The biggest drawback between that study, the first study, and this one watershed, and bringing more things through the SWCD is that the study, and I just kind of put these two pieces together this last month, that study that the county authorized in the one watershed, that money originates from the Clean Water Legacy Act, comes through Bowser and comes out this way. So the bottom line is when they do it that way, water quality has to take priority over flood control because it comes from the Clean Water Legacy Act, that way around. So that puts us at a disadvantage because when I look at that study from the county, these water quality structures cost 10 to 15 times what a flood control structure would cost. So when you put that price in there, it makes it cost prohibitive to do anything. You know, that study that the county had, we're talking, $18 million or more. When when you get down to the flood control, they're only like $2 million. So that's an issue I gotta work around where we bring the funding in. Now, there are funds out there for a new state program for water storage, which I think on the east side of 13, we could qualify for. Problem is, we don't have any designs or engineering designs for this. And to get it done the way we want it done, benefit New Richland, we're gonna have to get some engineering designs set up so we can utilize that to go to the state to get the money for water storage and other things for the city of New Richland. I got an idea of a project on the west side of 13 that might help take down the cost of any water storage structures over there, but we're kind of a preliminary part of it. But I know the city doesn't want to spend any money, nobody wants to spend money, taxpayers don't want to spend money, but nothing's gonna get done without spending some money. And nothing's gonna get done if we wait for a state agency or the county or anybody to do that, because they're gonna have their own agenda, which is that bottom end of it is gonna be water quality. So being that study was not valid to me, I talked to an engineering firm that I do associated with and got a good rapport with, and I says, and he's seen the county study, and I identified the problems with it, and I says, we gotta scrap everything, start over new with a new engineering design. I said, just give me an estimate, top of your head. Now, I know this is an estimate and it's gotta go out for bids, so we don't know exact amount, but he said between $50,000 and $60,000 to get an engineering design for New Richland for the flood control. He said that would be all the meetings and everything. And he said, without getting into more detail, that's just a ballpark figure. Now, this thing in New Richland is not just a New Richland situation. The county's gonna have involvement because we put a water structure on the east side of 13. The county's gonna be involved in it. And Main Street and Aspen, I don't know what the arrangements are, but there's some kind of county, because down here at the end of the bridge down there, is this a county?
On which road are you talking about?
Broadway and Aspen.
Broadway's county, Aspen is county.
Yeah, okay. So those two bridges on those two roads are gonna be county bridges to deal with. Plus they got that 5-foot culvert coming in, and I know they're looking to take that culvert out and hopefully maybe take that water west down so it doesn't come into town. That's their hope. But again, the cost of it, so being it's, not just a New Richland situation, the county's got it. I'm not the decision maker as you guys are, but if I was a decision maker, I would suggest splitting that with the county at 25 to 30,000 each. And I know you can't take it out of the budget, but if you could maybe take 15,000 out of the 24 budget, maybe 15,000 out of the 25 budget, for a little bit at a time, that we can move forward and commit that much to it to get the proper engineering designs. If New Richland would do that, then I could put leverage in the county, maybe come in and match it. And what money we can get through the watershed for water storage and other things, I'm assuming we're gonna have to go to capital to get that. And I've been on state councils for 12 years, chairman, and I passed legislation, worked on legislation with capital, and I testified at hearings up there, so I got a good feel what can go on up there. So whatever money we can't find through the water quality and all that, we're gonna have to go up there and seek that, just like Waldorf did their project over there before anything gets done. So that's the only way we're gonna be able to finance this project is that's my overview of everything. But you guys are decision makers, but I just want to throw ideas out to you because nothing's gonna get done from here on anymore without you guys stepping up saying, we want to commit to this. We want to start working on steps to make it happen, or we're just gonna let it sit there and not do anything, so. Again, I review that more, we're not pushed for time, but it's something you guys need to talk about in the future, and it's basically up in your hands now, what happens in the future. Because I can't go any further, I've been to about 30 meetings the last 4 years on this, and I can't go any further on my end without you guys coming in on board here and making it happen. So,
I have a couple questions. So if you were to make a watershed or a water holding pond out east of 13, you would have to buy land from farmers to create that? Or where would you hold the water?
basically, well, people say that we can't have that much water, but the county did that in 2016 when they diked up the road and held that water back in there. So that'd be the water level we're talking about. And Doug Christopherson said he talked to the landowner and said he had minimal damage then. Whatever water we would store would be held in that same area it was in
Okay.
2016. It would not go further back.
Okay.
Now, problem with 2016 is, I wasn't aware of this till that meeting we got talking afterwards, is Paul Sennett's building got flooded out. It cost us $20,000 to $30,000 of damage in there. Now, I'm no lawyer, but I got a basic understanding of water laws because I work with water attorneys. If you build a structure and will dam up water and cause property damage to a person, you're financially liable. So I have reached out to my contacts that I developed with soybeans and other state agencies, and I'm trying to get some clarification in the law, because that's not right that Paulie loses $20,000 to $30,000 damage out there because they diked it up. Now, when they diked it up, they saved the Richland, which was great. So, whatever gets built out there has to be designed to protect Paul and the Sportsman's Club there. So, because we cannot flood them out. And so, I know I've been chastised by one of the supervisors that this is an emergency management situation, that they're gonna keep diking up the highway. Well, you can't do that if you're gonna cause property damage. So, until I knew this information from that meeting, has got my mind going a different angle on how to address this, because we cannot dike up 13 and cause property damage. You just can't do that.
Well, that's part of my next question. So widening the ditch and making it deeper is not an option? Would it help? And the reason, I'm going to tie this in with the question about all the comments you have made about the culverts. We go from large culverts to smaller culverts, which can't take the rush of water. And then we go to a bigger one, then we go to a smaller one. So you may not know, well, the first part of my question, but the second part is, who decided on the size of these culverts?
They were put in totally backwards. Anytime you go downstream,
Yeah, of course.
common knowledge tells you, well, when you come off 13 to Aspen, you know, the watershed goes from the north end of New Richland to the top of that bridge by Walco's out there, comes all the way down, and we got water from the south of town coming in there. So we're adding, I don't know, 40 silver blocks of surface water coming down there.
Well,
And then
it's
you
right
try
in
to put in
Richland.
Aspen, which is the same size as 13. Then you get down here, and we keep dropping.
Well, then you
Well,
got
before the
double.
locker, we have a 5-foot coming in there.
Yep.
Plus what was on there, going in one was smaller than it was the upgrade. So I don't know, whoever laid it out originally, I don't know what that guy's.
It was done backwards.
It was.
I don't necessarily know that that's a true statement, because being on the ground in 2010 and 2016, and Chad can attest for this, until the water came across Highway 13, we can move the water. We have a few challenging areas that do get flooded in town, but it's not significant until that water crosses Highway 13.
Right.
That's where the problem happens.
But your railroad is what saves everything down here. If the railroad
Right.
wasn't holding the water back, that water would come down here and flood everybody out. The railroad is what restricts more flooding going on downstream here, so.
That's why we need this hydrological study to figure out
Yeah.
what
What's the
should
best thing
be
to
there,
do?
what shouldn't be there.
But what about widening and making it deeper?
It's all based on the
Got it.
ditch authority.
They can't go wide enough, deep enough in town to make it happen.
Okay.
But
You'd have to be 100 feet wide and 20 feet deep.
but you need that study before they'll even consider anything.
Yeah, then my last question is on this italicized part here on the third page. If you don't mind, I'll just read it to you. It says, "But I have been told by a county supervisor that the flooding in New Richland is an emergency management action." I guess that means that the county plans are to keep diking up Highway 13 to control flooding instead of working to a flood control structure in its place. If that's the case, then we better be ready to financially compensate a certain number of property owners for damages that might occur. So my question is, is this the county decides that this is an emergency management action when it happens here, rather than what other actions can be taken?
Well,
This is their way of solving it without having to spend money?
No, I think they may be looking at that way. Ultimately, it's going to be an emergency management situation and decision until something's taken.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're gonna keep it this way
Right.
Correct.
But
until
the
they
county-
fix it.
I think the county is what controls the emergency management of the county.
of the county,
Yeah.
yeah, the city of New Richland, no.
No, but city of New Richland would be after it gets over 13.
Well, in that situation, it would be a unified command where New Richland and the county would be working together as it has been the last couple of times.
Okay.
But, yeah, I mean, we're already meeting with the right people. We need to get the actual cost of a hydrological study and figure out what that's gonna be before we can even budget for it. and
Who
figure
are
out
you
what
talking
we're
about
gonna
we
do.
are meeting with? Because I don't know who you're.
We met with Doug Christopherson and
Chris
Chris
Howard.
Howard, and had some talks about some stuff. So,
A lot of that, some of that stuff was already done in that, you can utilize some of that first study for a lot of it, because they did a whole hydraulic study upstream.
Yeah, they
So
want
they'll
the
be able to use
ones.
that all back into here.
right.
So.
And that's another challenging problem, because if we take New Richland proper and dump that rain just in New Richland proper, can we handle the water? Now, maybe yes, maybe no, but now you go all the way around outside and dump it into town. So who pays for that? Is it our water, or is it their water, or is it that's the problem, is that
You can get in that argument all day long and all night
Right.
long. And you can't go out there and charge the county residents out there or the property owners out there. We just gotta get a design set up and use the program that we can fund the property and go to the state and get it that way, so.
where I was going with that is that the city of New Richland can't take on the entire cost of that study,
No. That's
just
why-
because. So that's what I'm
why-
saying, is that if the water's coming from those county places, we have to all work together to get that figured out.
That's why I
We
said
can't
it's
afford to-
50/50. I would suggest it's 50/50 between the city and county.
I feel it's a
That's
little
your
lighter,
decision.
I feel it's a little lighter than that, but,
That's-
I would too, just because of where the water's coming.
yeah, I mean,
There's a
the
bigger
like you said, the
responsibility.
problem that we have is the water coming in from that side of town, flooding our system, and then the ag drain off from that side, flooding our system.
Yeah.
It's all coming into this one spot.
Well, that's a discussion you guys should talk about.
Yep, and
see what figure you are comfortable with, so we can take to the county.
I believe Houston Engineering is part of that conversation.
They did the first study.
I think so, yep, so they're part of that conversation.
They have lakes.
Well,
But like I said, through SWC, which I am elected to be on, and the one watershed, there are funding sources out there, but we need to have something in place.
Yep.
To go after that.
and unfortunately, in order to put those in place, we have to have some sort of study that says that that will make a difference. Because we can say that that's gonna make a difference, and it's gonna make a difference, but an engineer may draft that out and say, no, that doesn't make a difference, it needs to go here. So,
Well, that's because I asked Houston when they did it out here, what the level was, and they didn't design the level out here for the same way that they did in 2016 when we did the highway, so.
right.
I don't know why it ended up being handled that way. The proper protocols were in place to identify the amounts that she'd be dealing with, so.
Yeah.
So, okay,
It's on our list of things to keep working on, so we'll keep you in touch.
Thank you.
Thanks, Larry.
All right, we'll move down to the ambulance report.
Well, you got my report. So I just have one application that I want to review, get approval on, so we can get them started as a first responder. And I wasn't here for the last one, so you guys had some questions about what I brought to you last time. It's no different than what's in there. I just have to explain it a little more. That's why I added a line, because people are not understanding it. There we go. They're not quite understanding it, and I go by the city policy about with verbal and unwritten and stuff. And it's not every month, it is every 3 months. So the first one would be a verbal, the second one would be a write-up, and the third one would be another write-up, and that's after 9 months. If you can't pick up your 48 hours every month after 9 months, obviously you don't want to be on it. And I just want people to be able to read that and understand, and they're not understanding it, and that's why I kind of made it separate. So that way when people start and all the people that are on currently, I can have them review it and sign it, so that way it's there and they can kind of understand it. It does not add any extra work for me at all or anything like that. Everything else is all the same, it's just the 2 place spots that are highlighted.
I got a question on one of the last bold highlighted one. It said those not signed up for a minimum of 48 hours per month will precipitate actions of the City of New Richmond disciplinary policy and may be obligated to pay for annual refresher expenses. Do you think that may be obligated to pay for annual refresher expenses?
Yes.
Is that gonna make somebody maybe walk out the door?
No, actually, I've had a couple people actually have to pay for their own refreshers.
Okay, and they were okay with that?
So I'll tell you how the policy works. You're accepted on, you do your classes, and you have to do 1 full year of service, 48 hours a month. Then your class is paid for. So if you don't put you can still be on, and you're on for a year, but you don't put 48 hours in a month, you're responsible for your class.
Yeah, we're not gonna have to pay for it. The city's not gonna take the responsibility to pay for it if they're not picking up their hours. I'm not gonna make you guys pay for it.
But what I'm asking is this, is that they don't want to pay for it, is that gonna make them walk out the door? You know what I'm saying, unintended consequences.
Right, but if they're not picking up, what's the point of having them either?
Yeah, then no sense being there.
Right, and if you're here for the right reason. If you're not, then there's only so much I can do, and I want people to understand that it's not just me that wants it. It's
You don't see that to be
everybody
a
in this
problem.
town that wants somebody on.
It's already in the policy that they signed.
It
It's
is.
just being highlighted more, I
I just
guess.
had to make it more understanding for some people to understand it.
That makes sense. I know,
So let me ask a question.
Yeah.
So if I did 46 hours last month and this month, can I come to you and say, can I do 50?
It's a 3-month look back,
Okay.
average.
Yeah.
Okay.
3 months, look back.
I'm just reading this and it doesn't explain it like.
Yeah, so it's kind of set up that way, so like, let's say you get somebody like Chad, who's in his busy season for construction. He may not be able to put in his 48 every month for
Okay.
this 2 or 3
First 3 months,
but
okay,
the next month, he might be able to put 80 or 90 hours a month in.
okay.
So as long as we're looking back and on average, they're doing 48 hours a month, we're gonna maintain it.
Yeah, okay, so it's an average.
And I have like for Chad, for when he's working, I have like a reduced hours form and I fill out, that they can fill out, and then
Yeah.
Tony and I go
Okay.
sign it.
Yeah, that's another thing too. If they get to a point where there's a family emergency or there's something going on in work or as long as they
Communicate.
It's
communicate that and we have that all figured out.
There's-
That's.
Take
You'd be surprised
I got
how-
one vacation a year. Not
So-
enough.
Okay, thanks for explaining that. It just,
Yeah.
it's
that's
not
the
clear
problem.
when you read the policy.
So it's just basically for me to reintegrate it with the crew and be like, I don't, it's not just me that needs to do it, it's everybody here. And this is what I expect from you, so.
Okay.
Especially if we're paying for it. And then I have one application that needs to be I would like to get approved, actually.
Try to approve the policy manual first.
I'll make a motion to approve the policy manual as it's shown.
Second.
Have a motion by Jason and a second by Lauren to approve the updated policy for the ambulance. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Pass.
Who's the candidate? Do we have an application?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
he came to our training, this last Saturday, so he's aware of this training that we have going on. Training committee's doing really good too, so we actually are looking at upcoming training with some of the players, so.
Any problems with the rig at all?
No.
Good.
No. Who's my liaison?
Well, right now it's Chad, but more than,
Change.
yeah, we'll figure it out.
Okay.
We'll let you know.
Thank you. This one lives right in town too, so. So we have one that's an instructor up in the cities, and she is possibly sending her, some of her students down this way. So, especially for clinicals, ride-alongs with us.
I move to hire the recommended individual for the new position.
I'll second it.
Have a motion by Lauren and a second by Janda to approve the application for the ambulance pending background check. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay.
Background check stuff.
Didn't know that.
We did some community outreach. We had Sarah Jo and I are doing CPR classes at the school. We got one coming up this Saturday for the teachers and stuff. And then we did an Easter egg hunt at the park, which was a good turnout. And then we're gonna try to get some more eggs. So if anybody has extra eggs that they'd like to donate, that'd be great. And then we bingo, a lot of bingo. We're looking at having another bingo for EMS week and then pharmacy days. So. Anybody have any questions about how everything's going?
No?
Motion to approve the ambulance director's report.
Second.
Have a motion by Jody and a second by Lauren to accept the ambulance department report. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Pass.
Sure.
I'll leave it to you.
Okay.
We'll move down to the fire department.
Submitted in writing, one fire call, one medical call, 2 total calls. EMR refresher was completed for those members that needed their first responder thing refreshed. ICE rescue training was completed in March, sorry. Did have a house fire, Highway 30 and Cedar Avenue. The staff did a wonderful job. There is a request to purchase extrication tools from donated funds. And Chad, you're gonna have to go because I was not at the meeting, so I don't know for sure.
So we have a gas one.
That was Cedar and that was Cypress.
Oh,
Cypress, yeah.
sorry, yeah.
So we have a gas jaws right now and we'd like to switch to a battery one for easier running. / maintenance wise, because the gas one doesn't always start because it sits too long. So we would like to purchase a new Jaws spreader ram, yeah. It had a,
You got a whole bunch of stuff here.
yep, for $36,445.
Bids are really close.
Yeah, the, correct me if I'm wrong, but
This one here, we
these
can
tools run off of Milwaukee
keep
batteries.
batteries so we can
We can
get,
go to Walmart and pick up a Milwaukee battery and run the extrication tools.
no,
Oh,
So that's kind of the benefit to that, where, I mean,
and then
if
if we,
something goes down, you go to any hardware store and fix it now. So
right, it's not a specialized battery and you gotta go through the equipment.
And
So,
the department tested out both of these sets of equipment and they liked the first bid. So their request is to purchase that with their donated funds.
Okay. So I just have a question, because I don't know anything about this, but a battery like that is powerful enough
Oh,
to
yeah.
spread
yep,
car door apart or frame on a car?
It's the motor and the leverage, not the
Mhm.
battery.
Yeah.
Battery just runs the motor.
Yeah, but just how the power is contributed to that tool.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we purchase that extrication tool for $36,445, and it's shown on the invoice.
Second.
I have a motion by Jason and a second by Lauren to approve the purchase of the extrication tools for $36,445. All in favor, say aye.
I,
All opposed? Pass.
And that's all for the very first report.
I got a question. You had ice refresher training. What does that consist of?
Dig a hole in the ice and.
Cut a hole in the
grab
ice
people
with
in
the
there and
chainsaw and
Yeah.
we jump in.
Okay.
Work on the firefighters with their cold rescue suits and how to get themselves out of a hole or how to pull people out of.
Sometimes some people get in and they play like they're actually dead and they get mad at you, but
You know, I think we should have that in conjunction with people jumping in there and then they can donate to the garden club.
Yeah, right. We'll stand in line behind you.
If you get 10 people, I'll do it.
I'll take pictures too. I'll watch.
There's my challenge. I don't
They're
swim.
small enough for that, doing something like that.
entertain the motion to accept.
I'll make a motion to accept the fire department report.
I'll second.
Want to flip a coin?
Either one.
I have a motion by Jason and a second by Janda to accept the fire department report. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Move on down to the police
All right,
department.
Lee's on her way to the chief's conference, so she won't be here tonight. The 88 calls for service for the month, down a little bit more than normal, but I think a lot of that is just due to our lack of staffing that we have. And just for your information, we've had the part-time posted for 4 months now, and I haven't got even an inquiry.
What?
So.
That's crazy.
There, when I started, when I applied for my first job, there was 250 applications for one position. Now we're getting 7 applications for 3 openings. It's just, there's no officers out there to fill the spaces, so.
Even in the academy, they don't even have enough to.
Yeah, they can't even
find
fill the
the
academy
analysts
for
and
that.
officers.
Yeah, so.
Exactly.
The old squad went to L&L and they
Exactly.
took the old equipment out of it. And then we did receive the used squad car from the sheriff's office.
Does the old equipment go in the new car? Or is that? separate?
The new car came with all the equipment with the exception of the camera and the radio, which pulled out, the other one got put in.
So the other equipment from the old car gets sold also?
Yeah, it can be, yeah. So, yeah, so, and then, so I would like to sell the old squad car, and I would suggest that the council list it with min bid. So that's the state's bidding site. We post it up there. They actually take the payment, they take their fee, and then they send us the check after it's all said and done.
Okay.
Then there's your breakdown of fees if you want to look at it, but
Mhm.
that's the best way. It's usually the way to get the most money for or bang for the buck, so.
So they deal with it if someone says, well, I want to pay $1,000 less?
No,
or-
it's an auction site.
Oh, it's an auction.
So
Okay.
once you submit your bid, that is the contracting binding
That's
offer.
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we have a certain amount that we can set?
We can reserve if we want to, yeah.
Perfect.
So I think it'll be fine without a reserve, but I'll probably put a reserve on it.
Okay.
But I just need approval to list that.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion by Jody and a second by Lauren to put the old squad car up for sale on min bid. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Pass.
And that's it for police report.
So when you said calls are down, is that because someone were called by the county? That were down?
Yeah, so if the county responds to a call in our town, we don't get a call for service generated for it. So with them taking a lot more call time because of our lack of staffing.
Do we have to pay for that?
No.
Then?
Mhm. No. So, and it's not, I'm not saying it's lack of staffing, we're still running a normal schedule. It's just that there's a lot of times where we used to take call time that we're not taking as much anymore than the sheriff's office is taking. So those are the calls that we're missing.
Is there a certain time of day that we're having less people patrol from our department versus others, or is it kind of random throughout?
It all depends.
the week?
Yeah, it just all depends on the date and time and for security purposes. Don't discuss that.
No, I,
No.
no, I,
But yeah, so there's various times depending on what's going on in town or if it's, I know that if it's between having somebody work a Tuesday evening or a Friday evening, we're gonna schedule the Friday evening, obviously, so it depends on what's going on in usage and everything else. And thankfully, Officer Gerke has really stepped up and put a lot of hours in to help maintain that, so I appreciate his time. And we're gonna continue trying to find somebody to
Well,
fill
I'm
those
sure
seats, but
the last 2 days probably don't help that situation.
No, they don't.
so, that's the police report.
All right. Motion to approve the police report.
I'll second that.
Have a motion by Jody and a second by Jason to accept the police department report. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. And we'll move down to chickens.
All right,
Keeping
Well,
of chickens.
you have a few
Only got
options.
the cleanup changes first.
No, that's done. That's new business.
I'm sorry, I put it under.
So you have a couple of options. The council either needs to decide, yes, we want to do it, or no, we don't want to do it. If the council says, no, we don't want to do it, that's the end of it. We rush to the side and move on. Council wants to do it, then obviously direct city staff to do the ordinance. And then at the next meeting, we would have that ordinance prepared. If there's no changes, you could adopt it that day. If there's more changes that need to be made, we can go back and bring it back. But that's kind of the timeline should you guys choose to adopt it. I have not received many supporting arguments for the chickens in town.
I'll make a motion that we support keeping chickens in town. Hearing no second, I don't think it passes.
My biggest concern is,
Well, if you don't have a second, the motion did not get a second, just put it on the record.
We have a motion by Jason to support chickens in town with no second.
So the motion fails to go
Motion
forward.
fit.
Now you can take discussion.
my biggest concern is, you have to have somebody to inspect. Who would be charged with inspecting?
Well, ultimately, it would come down to the city staff and the police department. And that, I've had numerous conversations. So Minnesota Lake went through the process. They still, to this date, they've had it for 2 years. They have yet to get an application.
Understand.
I talked to Clinton and Janesville. They've had it for 2 years.
They
The
had
first
one.
year they had two.
Two.
Last year they had one. They have not got an application this year. He said it felt like there was a lot of staff time and preparation that was created for something that's not being utilized by the community.
Let's just move on, because it's a moot point. We didn't want it, so.
All right.
It's up to Chad to drive the conversation, so, but yeah.
I'm not in favor of it, so.
Either way.
I've had a few people come up or talk to me about it, and they were concerned about it being approved and were against it as well, just of having issues in the yards and people,
Correct.
who's gonna control that, and that we have other things we should try to address first before bringing more stuff into town to do that.
So you leave it die, or if somebody wants to make a motion to not do it, that would kind of cement things and take it off the agenda for future agendas. So up to you how you want to proceed.
Just let it die.
Okay.
We'll move to new business, biosolid hauling.
All right, so, Shell and I have been discussing hauling biosolids and not utilizing, using the city tractor and, the wagon that we have. And part of the reason is that this week was the week that Shell was planning on doing that. And if you see the weather that we have now, the 10 days that she would be using the tractor leaves our maintenance department without a tractor for 10 days during times when they can get all kinds of stuff done outside.
Yeah.
So Shell says it's 8 to 10, 12-hour days that it takes her to do the biosolids hauling, and that's a limited amount of solids. So I asked her if she would get 2 bids. And actually, the 2 bids that you see are actually for an increased amount of biosolids hauling, because if we are able to haul enough, she's able to get those, bless you,
Thank you.
those, all those shut-off valves at the wastewater plant that haven't been working. If we can get that all hauled out, she can have them all fixed.
All right.
So this is the quote to haul enough biosolids out. Holland said they can do it in 3.5 to 5 hours.
What?
What?
Is this
Okay.
considered to be an annual contract?
Nope, this is just
Just a one-time?
one time, but what I would like to see happen,
Do it every
I'm
year.
gonna make a recommendation to sell that wagon, because that will pay for the biosolids hauling for probably 10 years.
Yeah.
So, and then we put that back into capital, obviously, for wastewater treatment plants. But I would make the recommendation to contract with Hollins. I think he'd be available this week to do it. And we can get that. The other problem is, the renter of the land would like to get his stuff in the ground. And so if we can do it in 5 hours instead of tying up his land for 10 days when he could be planting, that's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah.
So, those are the 2.
Where does it get spread?
On our property, just to the west of town.
To the
the
east,
farm.
east of the water tram?
West.
West of the water plant,
Oh, okay.
or wastewater plant, sorry.
Gotcha.
I'll move to approve the bid for Holland at $3,500 for the biosolids hauling.
I'll second that.
Have a motion by Lauren and a second by Jason to accept the bid from Holland for biosolid hauling for $3,500.
I know it's hard, isn't it?
Yeah. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay.
Okay, and with that, we will be down far enough to get so we had Shell replaced one bypass valve at fall, if you remember last year, and then we had bought them all to have them replaced. So we have a company that's able to come do them as soon as she gets that pump down, and we'll replace all remaining 7 valves for no more than $6,000.
So we
And I
have to
thought that
approve
was cheap.
No?
Yeah, we need to approve that. So and he said if it takes less time than that, it'll be cheaper than that. It's just that that's the most time he anticipates for it to. So basically, they have to pump everything down below those bypass valves and change out those bypass valves.
I'll make a motion to replace all the valves at an approximate value of $6,000.
I'll second.
Have a motion by Jason and a second by Jody to replace the valves for up to $6,000 at the sewer plant. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Pass.
Okay,
All right, we'll move down to authorized sealed bids for old council chamber furniture.
I would just like council to approve to sell all the stuff that wasn't here via sealed bid. Obviously, the really nice conference table and those 2 little tables, and then they'd be due by Thursday, April 20th at 4:30 p.m. And I'll put that all up via Facebook and have some prints off here, so anybody that wants to do that can do that, and then we'll open them next meeting and award those bids.
So move.
I'll second that.
Have a motion by Lauren and a second by Jason to approve the sealed bid of the old council furniture. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Approve, or no, sidewalk repairs.
All right, so we need just, right now, for now, 2 sidewalk projects, covered. So it'll be the sidewalk here that was taken out when they,
Did the
took
track?
the railroad tracks out. And then we had a water shut off repair that we did on South Ash Avenue that we had to cut out a sidewalk to do that. So this would take care of those 2 spots.
I'll make a motion to approve the money to repair those 2 spots.
I'll second it.
Have a motion by Jason and a second by Janda to approve the sidewalk repair at 130750. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Pass.
All right, community cleanup charges. So we went over our 22 list and then compared it to what the county is charging us to get rid of the stuff that we collect at the community cleanup. So Sarah and I just went through and kind of aligned it with what the county was charging, so the city doesn't incur a cost to accept stuff. So appliances go from 10 to 15, carpet remnants go to 10 from 5. All monitors, it doesn't matter what size it is now, $20. Printers 15 from 8, and commercial printers 25 from 10. Tires we did last year, and they're all still consistent with what it is. And then we did add couches, love sheets, sectional recliner, and mattresses are $5 each. So
It seems reasonable.
if you're okay with that, if we have a motion to approve that, and then we will get that information out to the general public as soon as possible.
So move.
Second it.
Have a motion by Lauren and a second by Janda to accept the spring cleanup price list for 2023. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, pass.
Did we do this already?
That was on the consent agenda.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Miscellaneous,
No.
city administrators report.
We did some asphalt patching. We went with Sikora through all the various spots that we've had trouble with. I'm hoping to hear back from them. Bolton and Mink was here, and Eric Shell and Braden and I talked about the water and wastewater concerns that we had with some of our aging infrastructure and some other things. He's going to be coming back next week to talk with Eric and I. He had some thoughts about going forward with some stuff. I got your information from what you wanted me to work on for the noise ordinance stuff for the next meeting, and so I'm working on that stuff for you guys. The auditor will be here Friday to hopefully complete the final ticket items for our 2022 audit, and I'm hopeful that we will be able to adopt that in May, or adopt the report in May.
Oh, that's first.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm happy with that.
Yeah, get that out of there.
And it actually there were very few minor details that we actually had to deal with, so I'm very happy with it. Bi-weekly and monthly payrolls went out. Still working with American Legal Publishing. I haven't got the cost to update our ordinances. I did get a side bid from them to put our ordinances on our website in a digital cloud form that has like searchable PDFs and stuff. And the quote for that is only like $500 a year, which I thought was actually very reasonable to keep everybody abreast of what's going on in the community. I think that's worth spending.
Yeah.
But until I get that other quote back to find out how much they're gonna charge us to
Right.
update our current ordinances,
Yeah.
I don't wanna say, yes, we're gonna do that without having that stuff done. So, that's still a work in progress, and I'll check in with them, next week. Only employee thing is we have a birthday, Daniel from the ambulance on April 23rd. And that's what I got for you there.
Motion to approve the city administrator's report.
Second it.
Go ahead. We have a motion by Jody and a second by Janda to approve the city administrators report. Did you have something to say?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I forgot to discuss something with you on my list, but I also have a text from the Richland Area Foundation with wanting an update for the siren.
Oh.
And the grant that they gave.
Siren's been ordered.
It has been.
Yes, yep,
I'll let them know.
yep, yeah, siren's been ordered. I'm sorry, I should have communicated with them, but yeah, it's been ordered, and, yeah, it's been ordered.
I think they're meeting tonight, so that's
Okay.
probably why they're.
Yeah, you can go ahead and tell them that it's ordered and it's waiting to get delivered here, and then what Gary told me is that they'll make their path, and so as they come through the region, then they'll install it. So they'll start here and they'll So once they're here, then they'll come
It's
to
probably
us.
some shit from California.
Yeah.
But yes, council authorized it, it's ordered.
Wow.
Yes, I will be so happy once that's up there. And then that one will probably break, and then,
So did you go with the second one for? San-
no, not yet. No, yeah, so,
Well, Tony, it looks good in here. You did a great job.
thank you.
It looks very nice.
Thank you. It's not done yet. There's waiting on a couple things. The only cords that you should see are the cords from that to underneath there by the time of the project.
But it looks nice. This is perfect.
Yeah,
Did we have a
Can I
motion?
discuss my last thing on my list?
Go ahead.
that's up to him.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Okay, and it's really not, it's not anything against you guys, but our, what do I want to say, our concerns procedure is not working. And I have no answer on how to do that to give public concerns. You know, they're supposed to fill out or call dispatch, those kinds of things. In a 2-week period, I was approached at Walmart, I was approached about the noise. I was approached at work about a dog ordinance violation. And that person was told it was a civil thing, that he should maybe just think about putting a fence up. And I received 4 phone calls about budget things for the garden club. And no matter how many times I told these people, I cannot do anything about it, you have to contact your council or the city hall. They don't want to contact city hall.
Well,
I know, I understand.
I was, the only thing I was gonna tell you is I actually just had 2 email ordinance violation complaints come through this week, and they've already been, she's already addressed them.
Good.
So I think, the system works, it's just, and they can remain anonymous on the online form. So it's just,
They can be.
yeah, I mean, ultimately it boils down to it's an anonymous complaint, but it's still gonna be looked into.
Well, it was frustrating to me because I told, these are 3 different people and I told them all over and over and over, I can't do anything about it. You know, I didn't run for council for a reason. And, you know, I just didn't know if there's a different way we can go about this because you can tell them to you, we went through it when I was up there too. You
Yeah.
can tell them to you're blue in the face.
Yeah.
You got to
This-
fill out more.
The system works, but it just, you have to take the step.
Maybe it's just those people.
Yeah, I know to your fence thing and dog thing, I think there was some miscommunication between the phone tag thing.
Would it be
'Cause
maybe,
I looked into that a little closer.
would it maybe be a good idea to put that either on a Facebook page so that they can reiterate it?
Oh, we can repost it,
Yeah.
yeah, that's fine.
Put it in the newsletter or not, well, you know,
Yeah.
the billing?
Yeah, you don't have to come up here to file the complaint, you can,
Yeah.
right on our website, and it says concern.
What about people who don't have access to it?
Yeah, that's
But they can come up here, they can
always-
call,
That's
Yeah.
always been my comment.
I'll answer the
Not
phone.
everybody is-
Give them all the options.
I'll answer the phone.
Yeah. Cause I think we just need to put it out there, they have more than one option.
And they can call one of you guys.
These 3 people, and
oh, Johnny
again,
Whitaker, that'd be great.
I understand, I'm not there too. These 3 people all said it doesn't do any good to say anything. And I said, it certainly doesn't do any good to say anything to me.
Yeah.
Well,
I think people will see that since we streamlined this process, it's going to be different. I think people will see that, so.
and Gail, some of those people may be saying that because of past experiences. Maybe 5 years ago or 7 years ago, they didn't have a good experience. So now they relate to that
Yeah.
and carry it forward to now. And go, well, same thing happened a long time ago. Instead of,
Couldn't you put that on there? We streamlined the process, please try it.
Yeah.
You know, something like that so that they'll understand.
I can also, I know Sarah was working on the newsletter today, I could see if there's a spot open, although I don't know that there is for that, but we can do that on Facebook, that's not a problem.
sure,
Where are we at with the texts?
Did you not get your text today?
no,
No.
I
Did you
did,
sign up for it?
I did.
No?
no,
Larry got it, I asked him today and he
I
got
got a
it.
text today about the street sweeping.
Yes.
no. Then
Where do you sign up for it?
Well, if you'd see our Facebook page, you'd notice
I
the
didn't look
QR
at it.
code right there to sign up.
I didn't look at it.
I don't ever see anything.
Now I know what tigers you bring
Oh, I don't know. I posted, we had a few posts today because the dump was open.
oh
So that's
my
on Facebook.
gosh.
And then I scheduled the post for 6:30 tonight to let everybody in town know that they're gonna sweep the east side of town on the tracks tomorrow. And then I sent the mobile text alert this afternoon for that, same thing. Yeah, so I mean, there should be.
Well, I work on the force side, I probably don't get much information.
I don't have my
They're
phone.
sweeping it.
I got other things that
So
I gotta
I
take
would just
care of.
encourage people that if they live in town and they wanna know, sign up for the text thing. It's really easy for us to keep people informed about what's going on.
Do you have to, I'm just curious, do you have to pay for that?
The city pays about $250 annually to have that.
It's
Because I'm looking at something down there and it's only charged per text.
So the system that we ended up working with is called Mobile Text Alerts. I think it's mobile-text-alerts.com, I think is the name of the website, but it's, if you pay, you can either pay monthly or you can pay annually. If you pay monthly, if you don't use the text, they go bye-bye. If you pay annually, they roll over and keep compounding. And I think we have 500 texts a month for $250 for the year.
Yeah, I would maybe never have that
That's
every year.
Overkill.
Yeah,
It's great.
but that's,
500
yeah.
texts if you have 500 people.
I'll check tonight. I didn't check my phone, but
Or is that 500 texts that can go out to 1,000 people?
So what happens is we currently have 84, I think, people on our text alert system. So it just takes that off the 500.
Oh, so
And
it
then-
is,
Yep.
okay.
So if we send 1,000 out, it's gonna use 500 from March and 500 from April.
Yeah.
And our hope is that we don't use it enough that there's a bank. But should we need it, the cost of overage is very, very minimal. And I don't anticipate using it unless we really have to. So.
did we approve his report?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Where have I got?
We're just waiting for a motion to adjourn.
Oh, I
No,
got.
no, we gotta go to closed session.
I've got,
Oh, yeah, that's
I got
right.
one.
Go ahead,
Council
Joey.
comments. I was notified that there's gonna be Cedar Point annual inspection on either May 3rd or May 10th. It's a Wednesday, I believe. Chad, would you be able to,
Yep, just let me know what day it is.
well, yeah, those are 2 days, either 3rd or the 10th. They haven't quite narrowed it down yet, but they gotta
Is
let
it-
the residents know.
Is it 3:30?
I don't know what time they go through.
Yeah, just let me know.
It's a Wednesday, either one.
Yeah, just let me know the time and the day and I can go.
Excuse me.
That way we're looking for any long-term stuff
Right.
that we might have to.
Yep, no, I
Set
think
aside
you
money
must have
for it.
asked me that already, didn't you?
Yeah, I think I discussed it with Chad a little bit,
You
but
did?
we narrowed down a time yet,
Yeah, I just need to know.
You stole my thunder?
previous to you.
Okay. That's all I had.
Okay, I just have one thing. I don't know if you've seen the new community ed thing coming out of the school, but there's, I happen to just be on the Summer Burst committee.
Yep.
And so we've got the bands, we've got, or people who are gonna sing. And the committee wanted me to just bring this to you and the council, same as last year. Make sure there's liability insurance, there's porta
Good,
potties.
Good,
The white sidewalls require 220.
we need money to upgrade that.
Okay, yeah, didn't you say $500 or $600?
Eric is supposed to be getting a hard number from
Okay.
Elaine by the end of the week.
And then they were wondering, because particularly for the white sidewalls, and maybe for all three of them, we could close off that one block from 30 up to the end of the park.
Not a problem with the city, but remember, since it's a county road, it'll also have to be approved by the county.
Oh, okay.
So
But-
you can do it as easily as saying, these 3 dates from this time to this time, we want to approve, and we can do it at once.
Okay. Do you want me to hand you these notes so you kind of got,
I have most of it.
do you?
The only thing that I had a question for is you said there might be money that they can help upgrade that 220.
Yeah, I think we have some money. I mean, we don't have a lot.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to get a number from Delane, because
Yeah.
I don't think it's a problem for us as a city to split that cost a little bit, because then
Yeah.
it would give us the opportunity to have stuff there as well. But it's also, I don't think we should have to pay for the whole entire
No.
cost, because they're bringing that in.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%.
The other thing is, Lise Wigman contacted me, and they wanted to do they were hoping to get the bathrooms back up and running before that, and I explained to her that, well, unfortunately, bathrooms get destroyed
Keyboard player.
on a regular basis, so, but they wanted to do some painting, and so I looked into that Smith grant, and unfortunately, this year, the Smith grant is outlaid only for murals, historical buildings, and one other thing and it does not fit into that.
Okay.
So we can't get the free paint.
Okay.
What about the landfill?
Yeah, I guess we could see if they've got some 5-gallon buckets or something. I didn't think about that. Thanks, Gail.
Or I suppose the repurposed store in Mankato that has that low cost paint too.
Yeah.
I mean,
She said she's got the kids to do it, so we would just need the paint.
Okay, good.
And she thought if nothing else, if we could just update the outside of the bathroom building, even if it's not gonna work, at least it would be nice to look at.
Okay.
Did you have,
Yes. Is that any touch at work?
Oh heavens, yes,
Yeah.
big time.
Do you have a person that would
I'm
be?
kind of in charge of that. We had Steve Patner kind of cover some of the spots last year, but it needs addressing. Now, there is maintenance money for that, but the guys that painted it can't get a hold
They seem to fly.
Yeah, they got your money and left. They're
Uh,
cobblers now.
I thought that was the only.
Do you know
of
of,
it. It's 20 years old.
do you know of a company that would do that?
Well, I thought it was Deloitte that did that.
Mm,
He was supposed to do it the year before, he never got around to it. Last year,
No, they're-
he barely had time to just cover the
Okay.
bad areas. But I noticed the other day that there's even chunks coming up.
who holds the funds for maintenance on that?
It's called the New Richland Mural Fund,
And,
and it's at the bank.
does Matt or somebody is,
Matt he's
Okay.
a signature on it.
okay.
I'm the one that kind of drives the expenses. I don't sign anything, I just.
Okay. I know the Smith grant, I think Friday might be the deadline for that, so maybe I'll try to reach out to him and see if.
Yeah, let me know on that because we have to find somebody to do it.
Right.
I know Steve is so busy that I don't know.
Why don't you find the
There's
guy?
gotta be some,
There
there's
are
gotta be some
other
artsy fartsy person from MSU that you
Yeah.
could maybe
Yeah.
find.
There's other.
Send me an email tomorrow.
Why don't you find the guy who did the one at the high school in the commons area?
That's a great idea.
Or the
I
one
mean,
in
that's a
Hart- or the one in
beautiful mural.
Heartland.
yeah.
He did a
One
great
in
job. I don't know his name, but
It's just a matter of finding somebody that does need addressing or we're losing.
Okay. Yeah, I'll look into that tomorrow and see when that, worst case scenario, I request paint. They give us a- This is there.
did you have more, Larry?
Yeah, I just would, when I get a monthly, bill, it comes with a newsletter. But the bill, with the amount of bill and your account number is always exposed.
Yeah.
I've never thought that was proper to have that
It's
exposed.
public information.
What's that?
It's public information,
How come the other bills are always inserted?
because that's private information. Public water works is public information. It's no different than when we used to send a card like this that had your name on one side and the bill on the other side, public information.
So it has to be exposed.
It doesn't have to be, but it can
Just like how much you pay in taxes in public.
be.
I always
Yeah.
thought with your account number, that should be hidden in there.
The reason is because it's public information. Now, the city of Waseca, it's a little different because electrical utilities is different, right?
Well, we have electric, water and sewer, and so we have data privacy,
Right.
state laws we have to follow. We
So
can't
it's
share any of
different
it.
there, but water sewer is all public information.
Yeah,
Yeah, but you said it can be.
Wait, so if we flipped it around, our mailing cost is double. That's why it's double.
Yeah. it'd be
Yeah.
mailing costs.
Yeah.
So you save in one and
I don't
spend
care
in the
if it
next.
goes over. Well, I wasn't saving, I just thought,
Right.
that's your account information, that shouldn't be
Yeah.
exposed, but.
Yeah,
Shows how much
basically,
water you use.
basically it's public
You don't
information,
think
that's
about
why
it,
it
though.
is.
Yeah, you need to take more pay, get your water bill up.
All right, we'll close the meeting then.
I'm gonna close the meeting at 8:04.
Let me turn this.
Bye, thank you.
Thanks, guys. Okay, go ahead and
I'm
reopen your
gonna
meeting.
reopen
Turn on
this
my phone.
city council meeting of April 10th, 2023.
Now, Jody.
I motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion by Jody and a second by Lauren to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, nay.
No discussion.
You can't discuss it.